and I want to welcome you to the first ever the DataCentered Podcast, or the DataCentered Podcast. My name is Eric, and I'm sitting here with Fabian and Gijsbert. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff like nuclear data centers, the moon, and DDoS attacks. But first, I think an introduction is in order, as this is the first ever podcast that we do. Fabian, can you introduce yourself a bit?
Of course I can. I'm Fabian. I work as a support engineer at Serverius for 4 years now. And I studied expert IT devices and software. Very nice name.
Yes.
And now I'm studying a business management. And I'm now at my internship at Serverius for 2 months now until July. So it's fun here. So.
Yeah. All right. And you, Gijsbert?
Yeah, I'm Gijsbert. I'm a software developer here. I started here also as an internship a few years ago now. I work on DDoS protection, also on the access control in Dronten, also here in Meppel and Apeldoorn a bit. Those main things I work on. So that's probably, if you have used those systems, I really worked on those.
All right. And how did you got at Serverius?
Did you talk to me or?
Yeah, both of you.
Oh, I came here because I needed the internship for my study, and a friend of my mother knew a guy that worked at Serverius, and he was happy to help me out. So that's how I started here.
All right. And you, Gijsbert?
Well, also through an internship for my study, I asked Alfred, which works in Dronten. So yeah, that's how I came up here.
All right. Very nice.
Alfred is the main recruiter. For
I guess Alfred is the main recruiter. For those listening, Alfred is our facility engineer. He keeps all the air conditionings and power infrastructure makes it possible, basically. Well, I guess I should introduce myself as well. This is the first podcast we do. My name is Eric, and I started out as a support engineer, but I do have a background in audio and video, which I did my study in. I worked a little bit on some TV shows, but realized that was really not my career path. So I decided to pursue my other passion, which was computers. And a friend of mine already worked at Serverius, so he suggested I just applied for a job that they had open, application they had open, and yeah, that's how I got here. And then the boss asked me to produce some videos, and now I'm sitting here in the studio making a podcast, and that's how things go. So to introduce ourselves a little bit better, I would like to play a little game with you two called Would You Rather, which is a very popular game. But this is Would You Rather Data Center Edition. So I have a couple of questions for you, and I want to have a little discussion about those. Yeah?
Seems fun.
All right, so the first one is, would you rather accidentally spill coffee on the server that holds your most critical data, or accidentally send a sensitive email to the entire company? Fabian.
The email.
Yeah?
Because the email you can explain. The coffee is a bit tricky.
Yeah, same. Because how are you going to spill coffee in a data center? I mean you're not supposed to bring drinks.
No, but there could be a situation where you have like a server outside of the data center, and then maybe spill. Yeah.
But you can't fix the server, and you can fix the email.
Can you?
Because at least
I'm talking about a really sensitive email.
Then you can just as in personal information, or just the email that nobody can see. Or
I think it's an email nobody should see. I mean, I'm sure if you think you can explain.
Also depends on what kind of server, because if it's a cheap server, then maybe it's okay.
No, but of course it's about the data that's on the server. So
right, but if you spill coffee on it and only gets on the motherboard, for instance, they can just unplug it real quickly, and but hopefully it's still fine.
But I guess
we found a workaround.
Yeah, you spill coffee on a running server, for example, and the data is destroyed for whatever reason. but it's because you spilled coffee.
Yeah,
and I'm
that
not sure
would-
if that's
Then still,
technically possible to like wipe a drive with coffee. Should be a good if it works. It should be a good tactic to delete all your data for trashing your drives. I guess that would be a good one. So you guys would choose the email.
Yeah, probably.
of course.
All right.
Of course.
Next one. Would you rather have to untangle a year worth of cables blindfolded, or troubleshoot a complex software issue with a keyboard missing half its keys?
For me, it's an easy choice because I'm not a software engineer, so I will go for the tangled cables. But a short side note: can I cut the wires?
No.
Steal the cables.
Yeah, you still.
But what's a
choose the
year worth of cables?
Well, I mean, it depends really. Yeah, it's just like
A big pile or
a very big pile. Yeah,
or like a
absolutely.
room full?
Yeah, it depends how big the room is, of course. and of course,
The whole data
also,
center.
If it's a pile, then I will choose the pile because
let's say a bathtub.
I'll still
Steal the cables.
Steal the cables then.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
It's
because for the wires or cables, you can really see how far you are. If
Yeah.
a problem, which you only have half mobility for,
Yeah.
then you don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah, that's true.
you have an end.
But I feel like that when you're missing half a keyboard, of course, one, you could just buy a new keyboard, but that's not really part of the question, I think. I feel like the solution would be just to like throw the problem away and just buy a new thing that would fix the problem.
I mean, you could probably use the on-screen keyboard and work around it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well,
still-
that depends.
But it's the same
course.
with cutting the cables.
Yeah, that's true. That's
You
true.
can just use
Yeah.
a scissor and go through them.
I guess I would still try the keyboard just for the challenge. I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So if you're listening to this, then please let us know in the comments what you would do. I have another one though. The previous one were created by AI, which you can probably tell. The last one I did myself. Would you rather have a server that can fix itself but mocks you every time you walk past it? And it hurts every time also. And not just like...
Real personal stuff.
yeah, it's real personal. It gets really deep into your emotional damage.
Could it
part
make
of
me
your brain.
cry?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time. It would make you cry every time. Or a server that require a daily complement to operate smoothly.
Daily compliment.
No, definitely the other one.
I love giving compliments.
how often will you walk past your server? Rarely.
It depends on where it's wrecked.
Well, you
If
just
it's
break it in the corner or
yeah, okay. Then
somewhere in the closet. You never have to walk past it.
there are pros and cons on both of them. So
Yeah, I guess it's a matter of if you're a data center engineer or a developer. Because as a developer, you just work from your computer. And as a data center engineer, you just actually walk on in the data room.
I don't.
Well, you
I
also
don't
have to
like
be walking there every weekend. Every day
Yeah.
in the weekend. If you have to walk by it every day,
Oh, yeah, that's
You need
true.
to-
That's true.
be there every day to keep it running.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay.
Or maybe you can hire someone to do it instead.
So only all.
My
I
little,
think
my
it's
little
cheaper
brother
than the
or
other one.
nephew or something. I give him a few bucks.
Yeah, please compliment the server. These are, of course, very weird servers that are sentient.
Right.
Which is kind of a
Some alien
topic.
servers.
Yeah, some alien server. Yeah. All right. I suggest we move on to the real news part of this podcast. First of which is that last week Amazon bought a nuclear data center. And basically, yeah, they bought, and it was already an existing data center, but they bought it. It was just a data center, and there was a nuclear power plant attached to it, which, to be honest, I find insane. Because when I was younger, I would like make jokes about cars that would just have like their own. I'll just make their own nuclear reactor inside of it, just really small. And I think this is the first example I'm seeing, like a one purpose. I mean, it's not one purpose. I think. I think there are some other grids connected to it as well.
Well, probably because it's going to be, I think, one power plant, like one nuclear power plant, will generate I think, way too much power for
Yeah,
just
I
one
think this power
data
plant
center.
could generate 2.3 gigawatts.
The 2.5.
Oh, 2.5.
2.5, and the data center can use up to 960 megawatts. So
Yeah, but I
it's a
also
bit
read-
overkill.
Yeah, it's a bit overkill, but they also want to upgrade it each year
Yes.
with 120 megawatts.
Right.
So, and that will take a couple of years then. Well, I guess it's a green way of doing data center business, I think.
Yeah, I think also will be, I hope, the future. So we don't have to use many more fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And also it's, you don't really need to have a separate UPS really. Or on-site generators, which you now have here at the data centers.
You just need a second generator for just a second nuclear.
Yeah,
Just add another nuclear.
a backup nuclear power generator. Yeah.
But I think also it limits quite a lot of those things as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, of course, the power plant could go down as well, right?
Well, yeah, you'll probably still need some batteries, but
Yeah.
But there are two of them. There are two power plants.
Oh, really? There are two.
Yeah, there are two power plants that can together make 2.5 gigawatts.
Ah. That's a lot.
yeah.
It's also the sixth biggest nuclear power plant in the whole of United States. So
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the US.
Yeah, it's in the
Oh.
US, yeah.
I thought in Europe.
it's a
No, I don't
Germany.
think Europe still doesn't really want power plants.
Oh, I have no idea.
But we had quite of a shock a few decennia ago.
Yeah,
So
a lot of years back.
Yeah. So I kind of get it, but
Yeah, I think I guess, but I do think that of course this was already an existing data
Yes.
center, but I think it will be a good thing, but like not just for one data center. I find that to be a little bit excessive, but yeah, it's
the article there was a picture and just the terrain of it. I can't name a place in the Netherlands where that can be possible. There was so much room around it.
yeah, but it was. I mean, the US is huge anyway,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, I also read some time ago that Microsoft was also looking for some nuclear engineers.
Oh, really?
So it could be that they're also looking into this.
Oh, yeah. I guess so.
Nuclear laptops.
It is the most because you do read a lot about like green power, of course, and it is the fastest way.
Yeah,
Well, also really expensive, but I think it's the fastest.
and more independence of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, Microsoft was doing some seawater data centers, which they had those big, like drums, kind of, which they had servers inside to cool
Yeah.
them in with the ocean.
Oh yeah.
So it's quite funny to see other data centers or other companies also try to
Different types of data-
research some more, different ways to run a data center.
Yeah.
You get salty servers. You get back to what you.
Well, they had
had.
all those. If you look at a ship, like on the bottom, they had those scrubs. I'm not sure what they're called, but those barnacles, I think they're called.
Yeah.
Also completely covered. They had to clean them off every so often.
So you would need to like hire expert divers then to clean.
No, they
these,
would get a ship and
Oh,
then
yeah.
pull them up.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you can also do that, of course. Yeah.
So it was quite interesting as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane if you think like how much money can do. Because of course, like Microsoft's really big, Amazon's really big, and they can just do these types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You also have just fully covered data center racks that go underwater. Only the switches and stuff is outside of the water. The surfaces are just covered in water.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yeah,
Those tubs with oil,
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
like with mineral oil. I think that's what they use.
probably.
Some type of non-conductive liquid.
Yeah.
But anyway, these different types of data centers, like a nuclear data center or a underwater data center, kind of leads into the next topic, which is last week. At least last week, it was last week on Monday. The first data center on the moon was active for a really short time, like a really short time, and I mean they were able to send some data and let it be processed by the data center on the moon, and then they received it back, which also once again is insane.
But also, it wasn't really a data center.
No, I would call it a data center. I would. Yeah, I'm standing by it. It's a data center. Because, how do you define a data center? Well, when is something a data center instead of just a rack at home?
When there are more than one server.
More than one?
Yes, because if this is the case,
I have more than one server at my house.
then you are more of a data center than my house, because I have only one.
And what do you think, Gijsbert?
I mean, I think a data center should be self-sufficient, really. It should have redundant power, should have cooling, should not be affected by any outside, how do you say it? Outside forces, I think you should call it.
Yeah.
Like if the power goes out or the weather is getting hotter than normal, it should not be affected by it.
Yeah, of course, but those are all things that we have in data centers here on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But the server that was on the moon, that's the only thing on the moon. So in reference to everything else on the planet, it's not a planet, it's a moon. On the moon, there's nothing that compares to it. So I would call it a data center.
Yeah.
That's kind of true. But what if you have illegal, just a shower thought? If you have illegal software on it, nobody can say it's legal because the moon doesn't have laws.
Well, also what's function of it, because
so it's
many countries have how do you say it? Data protection laws, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What if they process it on the moon and then send them back?
Yeah.
Is it still
Is it still illegal then? Yeah. But that's a very interesting one.
There are no moon laws.
Yeah, I guess that the moon is going to be a haven for pirates.
Yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy will show up.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's you got you get like the pirate bay is going to be hosted on the moon, and
Well, probably because it's in international waters.
Yeah.
Also, there was some small island-ish kind of a dock. I'm not sure what it's called. I think Greenland. No.
it's a country.
Yeah.
It's a big bit.
There was some platform which also had service of like Pirate Bay, stuff like that, running, because it was in international waters, so there were no laws. Probably people at home know what I'm talking about. But this small platform with 2 pillars and has a small space.
Huh.
So yeah, and
It's also a data center on water.
well, I would say it is.
An illegal data center on water.
Illegal data center on water. I also was thinking that when you have a data center on the moon, does it have its own like IP range, or?
I mean, it will probably be the same as on Earth.
Yeah, I mean because well, you can of course like geo block traffic from certain spaces, and it's.
You have your own VLAN. VLAN Earth, VLAN Moon.
Uh,
Own internal IPs.
yeah, maybe they could.
It works a bit different, probably.
Yeah, okay.
Because
how
also
does that
the
work?
International Space Station also has internet, right?
Yeah.
That goes through satellites. And does 2 satellites have IPs?
Do they use
yeah.
IP?
Yeah.
Well, probably.
Because then you could hack the. Well, it's not sure they are connected to the actual internet. of
I think
course.
we need
they
a
are
NASA
able to send
engineer.
data.
I think they're probably connected to NASA or something.
Yeah, probably. I think we're going to close this up, and I'm going to look into it, and maybe I'll have an answer for next week. Our last topic, and I think that's a really important one for Gijsbert, as you're a DDoS expert, not DDoS attack expert, a DDoS protection expert.
Right.
There's an article on Yahoo.com. For whoever who uses that, it's mainly used for financial things, which makes sense. DDoS attacks on financial services industry up by 154% from 2022 to 2023. It was up from. I'm not sure the percentages exactly. Do you have the percentages here?
No, I don't have.
At least I know that they now have more than 1/3 of all DDoS attacks are on the financial service industry, and because of that, they surpassed the gaming space.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, really.
Yeah,
Also because it's going to be used probably more as a weapon than as something to annoy your friends or some game server which you were banned on or something like that.
It was mainly created because of gaming, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, maybe you are a little bit older.
I'm a little bit older.
Maybe you know the answer. Is
More
it-
wise.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not that old. I think DDoS has been around for a long time. But also, once again, we will look into that. I think it's really interesting because when I hear DDoS attacks, it was something when I was like really young, and I was playing around with like microservers or something, gaming service related, and you hear DDoS attacks like constantly. And every now and then, some big content creator who had like his own server for this type of game, he would complain that he got DDoS attacked and he couldn't stream or he couldn't, nobody could access his server, etc. And I always thought it was just on that level, like DDoS attacks, you know, and not to like inflict harm or anything. I mean, it is harmful, of course, regardless if it's a game server or financial service, but. This feels a bit more serious, like you already said.
It could hurt people personally.
Yeah,
Gaming can be personal, but it's not. It doesn't affect your life really.
Yeah, this is like a real.
Well, I mean, financial could also not be as critical because if you think of something like an hospital, that's way more critical.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I mean, financial. Well, you have to pay with cash instead of with your card.
Yeah.
So
Which is something that we are also moving away from, cash money.
That as well. I still have always some cash with me if it fails.
Yeah.
So I also don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but also it's to be expected. It's going to be used way more as a weapon than.
You think it would keep on growing in the next few years?
Yeah, probably.
And why?
Because we are using way more digital finance systems. Because if you want to pay someone, you're going to be using, in the Netherlands we use Tikkie. They'll send you a Tikkie for lunch or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Venmo for in the US.
Yeah. But a few years ago, you would probably just give someone cash. So that has really changed as well.
It's really a spot where people with malicious intent can really hurt a part of society. Although I did see that because it was from a report called DDoS Here to Stay, which I will leave in the description, so you can read it for yourself. I did see that there was no damage reported for it.
Because mainly it just shut down the financial service for a few minutes or hours, but doesn't really take the money because that's not the DDoS attack.
No, of course, but it keeps people from at least spending money, of course, and maybe even making money. If you if maybe like the Nasdaq is targeted or some other
it will not make physical damage, but it will harm you financially because you're always stopping from making trades or adding payments.
Yeah, money should roll. Right. That's a Dutch saying. But I because the report said that the rise in DDoS attacks was because of the war in Ukraine at the moment, which of course a lot of countries have sanctioned Russia to damage them, of course, and I think this is a way for them to damage us back. Because they use very cheap DDoS for higher services, etc.
They can damage us without really. Maybe we get a DDoS attack, but nobody can really say, oh, it's from Russia or it's from. It's kind of anonymous.
I mean, you can kind of say.
Yeah, okay, but we do not really have hard evidence or something.
Yeah,
But
it's,
we know. right?
We don't.
Yeah,
Well, it doesn't have to be. It could be a botnet from United States.
Yeah,
or,
yeah, of course, yeah.
From wherever.
These services are everywhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I do think. I mean, personally, I don't really mind, as I'm not directly affected, or at least not that much. And I know Russia might be very mad at NAVO countries at the moment.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm okay with it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't protect yourself.
of course.
Right. Which is something we can do.
Yeah, which is something Serverius can do, of course, with our DDoS protection service. This episode wasn't really about to be sponsored, but anyway, this is a sponsorship and kind of an indirect sponsorship from ourselves.
Just contact us.
Yeah, so this episode is sponsored by us, basically.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So do you guys have anything to add to this, or?
No, not really.
All right, then I guess that's a wrap for the first episode of the DataCentered Podcast.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
It's an honor. It was an honor for me as well.
We go into the history books now.
Yeah, this will mark the first one, and in like a few years we will look back on it and say, oh, it was so bad. It was the worst ever. How could we even upload this?
I hope we can.
Yeah, I hope we can.
And maybe we all have a TV program for ourselves.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You're all gonna be famous now. I wouldn't count on it. So yeah, thank you for joining with me today, and thank you for listening or watching if you're watching this on YouTube. Leave a comment in the comments or share it with your friends, and I will see you in the next one next week. Bye.